Whatever. It is the most deceptive word in the human dictionary. When you hear it, your brain instinctively flags it as a concession. You think you've won the argument. You think the other person has finally seen the light, accepted your logic, or simply folded under the weight of your superior reasoning. You stand there, chest slightly puffed, feeling that rush of small, petty victory. You believe they've agreed with you. They haven't. In reality, whatever is not an agreement, it is the sound of a heavy vault door slamming shut in your face. It is not the white flag of surrender. It is the final act of emotional detachment. We have all been there. Sitting across from a partner, a colleague, or a friend, watching their lips move as they desperately try to justify their side of the story. You listen, you nod, you dissect their fallacies, and suddenly, you realize the futility of it all. You realize that winning this specific battle doesn't matter because the war you are fighting for the relationship, the connection, or the respect is already over. You are not yielding, you are simply checking out. You have decided that the cost of their understanding is far higher than the value of the outcome, so you pay the toll of silence and walk away from the exchange. Most people mistake this silence for compliance. They think that when they keep talking, when they keep pushing their point, they are making progress. They are wrong. Every extra sentence they utter after you've said whatever is just another nail in the coffin of your patience. They are so busy analyzing the grammar of their own ego that they fail to notice the person across from them has already left the building. You are physically present, your eyes are fixed on them, but your mind has already started drafting the resignation letter for the friendship or the partnership. It is a terrifyingly quiet process. There is no shouting, no dramatic door slamming, no grand finale. It is a slow, methodical erasure of interest. You stop caring about being right. You stop caring about fixing the broken pieces. You stop caring about the shared vision you once held. When you say whatever, you are effectively stripping away the intimacy of the conflict. Conflicts, after all, require two invested parties. A fight needs fuel from both sides. By saying whatever, you have pulled the oxygen out of the room, leaving their frantic, self-righteous fire to burn out on its own. Think about the last time you used this phrase. You weren't feeling defeated. You were feeling cold. That chill is the precursor to total indifference. Indifference is the real endgame of human interaction. It is far more lethal than hatred. Hate requires passion, a negative investment that still binds you to the other person. Indifference is the complete absence of value. When you truly reach the stage of whatever, you have performed a mental cost-benefit analysis in a split second and concluded that the other person's validation is not worth the energy required to extract it. You are no longer looking for a resolution. You are looking for an exit. You are watching them perform their tantrum or their lecture, and you are already planning your evening or your week or your life without them in it. You are treating their words like white noise, background static that you have learned to tune out to save your own sanity. It is the most powerful weapon in any relationship because it cannot be fought. You can argue against an opinion, but you cannot argue against someone who has stopped caring about what you have to say. Society teaches us that compromise is the hallmark of maturity. We are told to work things out, to meet halfway, to find common ground. This is well-intentioned advice for situations where both parties are still invested. But there is a point of no return where this logic becomes a trap. When you realize that the person you are arguing with is more interested in being the architect of their own narrative than in hearing yours, every word you speak is wasted. We cling to the hope that if we just explain it one more time, in a slightly different tone, with a bit more clarity, the aha moment will strike. It rarely does. Instead, we exhaust ourselves. We erode our own spirit trying to bridge a gap that the other person is actively widening. The whatever is the realization that the bridge is burned. It is the moment the fog clears, and you see the situation for what it truly is, a dead end. You aren't being lazy, you are being efficient. You are conserving your remaining emotional resources for people and projects that actually offer a return on your investment. The irony is that the person on the other side will often interpret whatever as a sign of their own intellectual dominance. They will walk away thinking they have convinced you. They will go home and tell their friends how they stood their ground and made you back down. Let them. Let them keep that delusion. It is a harmless comfort for them. The truth is far more clinical. You didn't back down, you opted out. You stopped participating in the game because you realized the board was rigged and the prize was worthless. This is not a failure of communication, it is a profound success of self-preservation. It is the ultimate boundary, one that requires no shouting or confrontation, just a simple, dead-eyed withdrawal of energy. Once you have reached this stage, there is rarely a way back. You have seen the emptiness behind their arguments, and you have seen the lack of depth in their empathy. You have looked behind the curtain and realized the great and powerful Oz is just a person shouting into a microphone. Once that veil is lifted, you can't unsee it. The danger, of course, is the loneliness that follows. When you stop fighting for your version of the truth, you become a silent witness to a world that keeps shouting. You spend more time in your own head, evaluating the cost of connection. You start to see patterns everywhere. You see others trapped in the same loop, screaming their rightness at people who have long since checked out. You see the ghosts of dead relationships still walking and talking, pretending that the energy hasn't already left the room. It is a lonely realization, but it is necessary. It is the price of clarity. To see the world as it is, stripped of the comforting lies we tell ourselves about working through things, is to accept that sometimes the most profound thing you can do is simply walk away. You don't need the last word. You don't need the final victory. You just need the peace that comes from knowing you are no longer wasting your life trying to convince a wall to be a window. You have accepted the reality of the distance between you, and you have chosen to walk the rest of the way alone. The door is closed, the key is turned, and for the first time in a long time, the silence is not empty, it is free. You think I am losing the argument. I have already left the room.